Yeah. Welcome to creating ebooks for the iPad and also other platforms, because we're also going to look at creating ebooks for your computer, how to run ebooks on your computer, creating ebooks on the Android, creating ebooks on an iPad that I can run on an Android, and kind of everything in between and moving them around. So we're going to be looking at a lot of different platforms today. Matter of fact, I'm going to be starting on a computer shortly, and you think like, oh, aren't we just going to create ebooks on the iPad? And we'll see why. So my name's Dan Herlihy. The handout for today's session is posted on the Patents website. So it's I believe it's about an 8 or 9 page handout. There's way more stuff that I'll cover today on the handout. There's plenty to keep you busy way after I'm gone here today. There are listing of about 20 ebook creating apps for the iPad. There's a listing of apps for the Android on the handout. There's apps for the computer and everything. When we go to extensions for your computer and web browsers, doesn't matter what web browser you use, I have all the information on your handout. So basically, everything I'm going to talk about today, plus probably another 60% is in the handout. So the only thing you really want to do is jot down your ideas and maybe what you want to do with it, and actually do stuff hands-on, which is what I really want you to be able to do today. So what I do is, I have the best of all jobs. I work for myself. My wife will tell you that all he does is he plays with all his toys all day long, and then people call him up and say, can you bring your toys out and show them to us? And she's partly true, because I play with everything. I've got, if you were here in any of the other sessions I've done the last couple of days, last session we were talking about broadcasting your iPads to one iPad to another, to the screen, and broadcasting your screen to the iPads, and I had all kinds of technology for that. What I do is I work as a technology integration specialist. So I work with all the hardware and all the software, see how everything works, plays well together, how does it fit for you as a teacher, what would the student do with it, and how would it work in the classroom environment. So, which means I get to play with everything, and I'm the kind of guy going through the airport, Brookstone, what's that in your hand? I needed this. Oh yeah. So, and I have some of the toys I'll show you later that will be beneficial to you. So let me get going. Everybody who had come earlier, this is a list of what we're going to pre-install. I'm going to close this out. You can look at your neighbor if you don't have this list. It's just a short list to get us going. I'm actually going to start on the computer so you can watch for a few minutes and take a look at what I'm doing here. Whenever I do a workshop on creating ebooks, I'll start on the computer because it's something that people already know. And they'll go, well, aren't we making ebooks and stuff like that for the iPad? I'll go, yeah, but you know, we've got computers everywhere. How many iPads do you have? Oh, we have 4 iPads. How many computers? Well, we have a lab. We've got 3 in my classroom. Right, so let's start with what you know, and we'll kind of build on the idea from there. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start in Word. It's the easiest place to start, because if you poll the audience, how many of you know how to use Microsoft Word? It's like everybody's got it, everybody uses it. So a couple little things that I can do with Word. And here's an example. I'm just going to go to CNN. I'm going to the website simply just so I don't have to type a lot of stuff. And I'm going to copy some information. I'm going to go to Word and paste it in. So any of you could either type a story or copy and paste stuff from the internet, correct? Okay. Do you know how to go and copy an image from anywhere and paste it into Word? Good, see, you're halfway there. So I'm going to put this image in. Here's a little tip. How many of you put the image in and they don't know how to move it and resize it the way they want? Here's a little tip for, I see the face going like, anybody else know? So here's a tip for working with images in Word, especially when you're creating a book. It's one thing I'm putting information in here. We're just going to save it. Students going to read it as a current event article or something. But if I want to create it like a book, I'm going to do a right-click on the image. And what I usually do is go to text wrapping. And the reason I go to text wrapping is every version of Word is slightly different, but they all have text wrapping as an option. And what I always want to do is go to more layout options in text wrapping. And watch what happens. When I come here, this all has to do with how is the image locked on the page, how does text wrap around it, things like that. So I want the text to wrap tightly around, meaning if I put the image in the middle of the text, have it filter around like a newspaper article, right? Here's the critical part though. That's only one piece. The other part is the other tab here that says picture position. Sometimes you may have to go to the lower right and choose advanced options. It'll take you to where I am. Once again, it depends on the version of Word you're using. So you may choose here, and then over here see a button that says advanced options. I'll move this up a little so you can see it in your version of Word, or your version of Word might be like mine, and I click on picture position. But this is what it takes you to. This is the key thing, though. Quite often, move object with text, all of these, they're all selected. I mean, I put a picture in. When I type text, the picture gets moved down on the page, right? Allow overlap is checked. That means I can put a picture on a picture. But this thing here, layout and table cell, that keeps everything in, like, let's call it a box on the page. You notice how it pretty much stays where it is. It moves up and down if I hit the delete key, you know, moving space. But we want to make sure everything except allow overlap is unchecked. And watch what it allows me to do now. Half the time, move object with text is locked. You know, depending on if you're bringing your own image, it'll have that checked. You uncheck everything but allow overlap. You click OK. And now look what I can do. I can go to the corners, and I can resize it any way I want. And then I can drag, and I can place it any way I want. And look what it's doing. See? There's that text wrap, type text wrap. And I can place the image and just simply drag it and put it wherever I want it to be. So you can be importing your own pictures in. You went on a field trip, the kids are typing, whatever it is. So you've got text, you've got images. And let me just add a little title here. Just call it space. And it'd probably be good if I spelled it correctly. And I'll just center it. Make it be bold and change the font a little. There we go. So I've got a book. I could add all the pages I want. Next page, put in a picture. We went on a field trip. Here's the next thing we did on the field trip. Kids are typing. Now let's turn it into an ebook. And a lot of us don't think of this as an ebook. So almost all versions of Word, and if you're on a Macintosh, any program in the Mac will allow you to then save or publish it as a PDF file. What formats and what platforms, what devices can open a PDF file? You got it, anything. So name one, anything, yep, name one. That too, yeah, anything. Because there's a PDF reader for everything from the Chrome to the Android, iPad, any platform. So if I go and save this as a PDF, I'll stick it on the desktop, call it space. I can now put that on any computer, any tablet, any device, and we'll talk about how do I get it up there. And I know they can open up and read it. Okay, so I've got mine. Let me get out of here. And it's sitting on the desktop, and here it is. So here's my book. Look how easy it was to make a book. You know what the beauty of it is? Let me just open it up, and I'm going to open it up with Acrobat. I want to open it with Reader rather. Let me do that. How much does Adobe Reader cost? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's free. So once again, I created an ebook, and it is a free Adobe Reader for every platform. I can run this on every platform, and it can open up on every platform. So here I am on a computer. It would be pretty much the same on a Mac or a PC. I can't read the text. Okay, reading disability, visual impairment, doesn't matter. I can't read the text. How many of you realize or knew that under the View menu, there's an option called Read Out Loud, and Adobe Reader will actually read aloud the text on the page as a text-to-speech program. So I'm going to choose Activate Read Out Loud. And now I come down under the View menu. And what do you want me to do? I'll tell it to read this page.
Watch this video, space. Ever have one of those days where you just want to be alone? Maybe have the planet to yourself? Well, based on sheer
and I'm going to go down, and I'm just going to stop it. And you notice there's keyboard commands for everything. So I can start it and stop it with a keystroke. So now I have something that looks exactly like it did in Word. And it's going to look exactly like this on an iPad. It's going to look exactly like this on an Android. It's going to look exactly like this on a Chromebook. And the students can't delete or change anything. And it can even be read aloud in the free Acrobat Reader. So they could go home with this, and it could read it at home. They could go on in the computer lab, it'll read it, because these are the tools that are built into Acrobat Reader. So how easy is it for you to crank out all these ebooks in Word, save them as a PDF, and now look how accessible it is. Students can't read it. Right built into the program is voices. And then actually if you go into the preferences, so I'm going into the preferences of Acrobat Reader, because I know the first time you do this, like, mine didn't sound like his did. His was really neat. It's like, of course, Dan has all the toys. No. If you go under the Edit menu and go to Preferences, then you can go and choose the reading preferences for Acrobat Reader. And then you go under the voices, and you look at the voices that are on your computer and just choose whatever voice you want to have Acrobat Reader use. So we've got Word, and how much did the rest of this process cost us to start making these ebooks? How many people could be doing this? It's like, oh, it's like we do that, we did, and see how easy this. And now, what if we want to distribute this? Okay, so let me get out of here for a moment. I've got my ebook, and it's time to distribute it. Well, there's a couple ways to do it, and I'm showing you this now because when we look at a lot of the other things that we can do, it's like, oh, that's how we can share it with everybody. Oh, that's another way to do that. A really easy way to do is use Dropbox. So I'm going to go to Dropbox, and I've logged into Dropbox. It's just dropbox.com. Create a free account, and it's online storage. How many of you don't have a Dropbox account? You all do? Oh, you all do or you don't? Raise your hand if you don't. So what you're going to do after the session, or maybe during it, is you're going to create a Dropbox account. Because what Dropbox is, it's free 2 gigabytes of online storage. And the reason I'll tell you why I'm talking about Dropbox, because I'm sure anybody in the room can, oh, there's all these other ones, Google Drive and SkyDrive. Why Dropbox? You create a free account, and it allows you to do this. I'm in my Dropbox account. I can click on the Upload button. I can go Choose Files. And now it lets me search my computer for, what do you want to upload here? Okay. I'll choose the one I just created called Space. Open. And now it's uploading it. Now there's a copy of it in the cloud right here in my Dropbox account. Now that it's here, every other platform, from the Chromebook to the Android to the iPad to my iPhone to your smartphone, you can get at Dropbox 2 different ways, either with the app. There's pretty much an app for every platform, or simply going to www.dropbox.com, signing into your account, and then you see all the stuff that you've uploaded. So you can upload pretty much anything in Dropbox. If it can be on your computer, you can select and get a copy of it up there. Movies, sound files, text files, PDF files, inspiration files. It doesn't matter. If it's on your computer, you can upload a copy of it. And now that it's here, it also means I can access it from anywhere on any device. And if I can access it, it means I can download it onto that device also. So what does it look like? Let me toggle over to my document camera here. And let's take a look at what it looks like in Dropbox. Okay, so I've pre-launched Dropbox and logged in just in case the Wi-Fi was a little slow this afternoon. So here I am in Dropbox, and here's all the files that I've uploaded that you saw a minute ago in Dropbox. So all I need to do, and for example, here's a PDF file right here called Cats and Dogs. I selected it, and once I did, it gave me a preview here. Imagine that space one I just did. If I selected it, it'd give me a preview here. So you see, I've got EPUB files, I've got Word files, I've got videos up here, I've got all kinds of things. So to move it from my Dropbox account onto my device, I simply select it. If you ever get a little message here that unable to open or preview it, don't worry about that. Dropbox can preview pictures, Word files, some other file formats. If it's something you can download onto your iPad or another device, it's simply saying, I can't show you kind of like a preview of what it looks like, but you can still download it. So all I do now is, in the upper right, and most programs are like this, where I've got to download Google Drive and some other places, I'm going to select this for downloading, and I want to choose Open In. When I choose Open In, now it gives me a list of apps on my iPad that I can download that into. And you know, I'm in iOS 7 on this particular iPad. If I were on iOS 6 on my other iPad, instead of a little sliding window here, it's just one big square window with like, I believe it's 9 apps per window. It swipes through when you see them. But the same thing. So I start looking, going, oh, look at Open PDF Expert, Open in iAnnotate PDF, Open in Goodreader. Oh, there's that Adobe Reader. You know, so I look at all the different things on my iPad I can open it in, but there's iBooks, and that's really where we're going to put all our eBooks for the most part. And if I choose Open in iBooks, all it does now is it goes and grabs it. It downloads a copy, because the original is always going to be up in my Dropbox account. It's going to download it to iBooks, and I can see up here it's spinning, and there it is. And now it's in iBooks. Now it's on that bookshelf, and it's there permanently, unless I delete it off the bookshelf. So a minute ago, I was on my computer making an ebook, and now it's here on my iPad. And then I could take out my Android, log into Dropbox, same thing, and now it comes down into what app am I going to download it on my Android. Okay, and here's my book. Okay, simple little, and if I can't read it, I can, and let me see if I have everything turned on. I should be able to select the text. I'll double check if I turned it on again, iOS 7. And it's a little light there, but I can select the text and then have it speak. And to turn on speak options on your iPad, doesn't matter if it's a iOS 6 or 7, we go to Settings, General, and this is the same on both, even though it may look slightly different. We want to go to Accessibility. And here's the key things we want. These are turned off by default, because when we look at all the other ebooks we put into iBooks, okay, we go into Speak Selection, and we turn that on. If you get a brand new iPad, it's always turned off by default. So you come in and turn this on. I also turn on highlight words, so as it's reading, it'll highlight word by word, and you can adjust the speaking rate. And when I have that, and I've got Speak Auto Text turned on also, but the key thing is Speak Selection. So with that turned on, when I go to any of the books on my iBook bookshelf, so I'm going to get out of here. I'll go back to my iBooks. Let me go back to my library. Just to point out, in iBooks, if you download a PDF and you go, where did it go? iBooks will creates a section for PDFs under Collections. Typically, this is what you see. I've got all these different EPUB books that I've created here. And you go, where's my PDF? Where's the cats and dogs? Where's the space one? Go to Collections, go to PDFs, and this is where it sticks all the downloaded PDF files. Okay. So if I go to Books, I'll see any of the other ebooks. I'll just pull this one up really quick. Select the text. Because I've turned on the speak selection, a speak button comes up here. If I didn't have it turned on, I might get a highlight option and a note, but that's it. There would be no speak button. Then I hit speak.
Patrick Hogan, a spokesman for Minneapolis Street, Paul International Airport, said the crew of Delta.
And you notice that it's also highlighting word by word. So now I've got a book that, of course, you know, we could do the pinch and zoom and things like that, but I've got a book now that I put on my bookshelf and it's there permanently, and I can read it to myself or have the program read to me. So we started in Word, and now look at, we've got something sitting on the bookshelf and you know, in iBooks on the iPad, and I can dump it onto every other device that we have in the classroom, including the computers, right? And so look how easy that was. Let me go back to the computer again, and let's take a look at PowerPoint, because that's another great one to create ebooks with. So I'm just going to open up PowerPoint, and I'm just going to get a blank one. How many of you know how to use PowerPoint? Let's see, all the hands go up. How many of your schools have it? Oh, we all got it, okay. So I can use PowerPoint to create a book, and let me see if I've got something. Here we go. I'm going to pull up, let me see if I can pull up one that I already have. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so here I am in PowerPoint, and this is one I downloaded, and we're going to take a look at this website shortly. So here's a PowerPoint. It's a story. So I've got pictures, and it's telling my story. I could simply save the PowerPoint, upload it to Dropbox, and what do you think I do on my iPad to get it from Dropbox onto my iPad? Log in, yep. Select it, open in, and what's the only thing I need on my iPad to be able to play the PowerPoint? What's that? What do you think I need on my iPad to be able to play the PowerPoint on my iPad? Well, that'll allow me to download it, okay? But I need an app on the iPad that can play a PowerPoint, okay? So as long as I have like Present It Lite, and that was in the list that I gave you earlier, or some app on the iPad that can open up and play a PowerPoint, now I've got a book, yes.
Would Quick Office work?
On the iPad, I'm not sure. Anybody else? Go ahead, Jen.
Would Quick Office work?
Does anybody use Quick Office in here? Because I don't use Quick Office. I'll show you the one. I'll zip over to my iPad and show you what I use a lot, and I'll tell you why I do. The one I use a lot is, first of all, it's called Present It Lite, because all it does is it's just a player. And so it looks like this. Let me get my webcam up, document camera rather. Okay. And this is the one I asked you to download. And I'll just show you a sample. You see, these are ones that I've downloaded. Okay, I'm going to just open up one. So I've downloaded these from Dropbox into this app called Present It Lite. Okay, and when I run it, see, it's just a PowerPoint player. All it does is, it can't make PowerPoints on here. It's just meant to be a player, which is all I want, because I don't want the students to edit it. See, I've created a book in PowerPoint, and now because this is just a player, now they can go ahead and read the story. Okay, so I don't have to worry about them messing it up. They can tap, tap, tap. And if I turn on VoiceOver, I can tap on the text and it'll read it aloud. Okay, so tap, tap, end of story. Go back to my presentations. And let's call this our bookshelf. Okay, this could be all the books I've done in PowerPoint sitting on my bookshelf here. And the student go, okay, I want to read this book. And they just go ahead and select it. Oh, let's read about Dan's story here. What have you? Okay, and on to another one. So once again, there we were on a computer. We started making ebooks on a computer. And do you think there's a PowerPoint player for all the other platforms? The answer in here today is yes to everything. Yes, we can do it. Yes, there's a way to run it. Yes, there's a player. And that's the beauty of everything we're doing in here, because it's not like, oh, I have 3 computers and I have 1 iPad. I go, great. I have 4 devices I can write and create books on, and 4 devices that I can play ebooks on. Because I could download the PowerPoint player from my computer and have the students open it up in the player, or I could simply do this. And I'm not sure how many of you have done this before. Instead of just saving your PowerPoint, you can do a save as, and you can save it as a PowerPoint show. How many of you don't know what this option does? Raise a hand, because I'll mention it. Saving it as a PowerPoint show does this, because I'll save it so you see the effect. You might go, oh my God, this is what I need to do with all our books. Because what's the problem right now if the student opens this up on a computer and opens it in PowerPoint? What could he do to it? And not your students. I know you just have outstanding students. They come busting in from Lake Wobegon every day, but accidentally a student may delete the text, delete the. Well, if you save it as a PowerPoint show, I'm going to save it on the desktop. I'll leave it called. I'm going to call it Stone Show. Save it. Okay. Now I'm going to quit out of PowerPoint, and here it is. It's called Stone Show, right? When a student double clicks to open this up. Okay, and you know what? Let me tell it. I should have told it to just open in PowerPoint. It opens up in the player. See, it automatically opens. And if I hit escape, see what it just did? It just quits out. So double clicking on it just opens it up right into the show. And click, 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 turn the pages. When it's done, it closes out, and now I'm out of it. So it doesn't go into PowerPoint where I can edit it. It becomes like a player version. And all you have to do is double click. So I could put this on a flash drive and send it home. Maybe it's a book they made. And all they have to do is double click, and I know it's going to just play. Not edit, not go into PowerPoint, not edit, and all that kind of stuff. Okay? So since we're talking about PowerPoint, those of you, actually, whether you have an iPad or a laptop, you can do this on a laptop if you want to see where I'm going. But if you have an iPad, let's go to Launch Safari on your iPad. And here's the website you're going to go to. It's www.tarheel, so I'll go slow so we can get it, Tar Heel Reader, all one word. Tar, T-A-R, Heel, H-E-E-L, reader.org. tarheelreader.org. And I'm going to see if I can do this on my iPad. It seems like we have pretty good Wi-Fi right now, so I want to do this live with you. So I'm just going to Safari. I'm not launching an app, so let me just go to tarheelreader.org. And this is listed in the resources in your handout. So how many of you have gotten there so far? Just to get an idea of where we're going. 2 people. The rest of you are shaking your head. 3 being all smiling faces coming in. It's like, oh, Christmas lights worked. Oh, that string doesn't. Oh, my God. While this is loading, and I'll come back to mine in just a second, let's go take a look at what happens when you get there. When you get there, you'll come to a screen that looks like this. And this is their home screen. And there's about 4,000 or 5,000 books in PowerPoint on their website that teachers and students have created and posted here. Okay, and what you do is I'm going to find a book, and it comes to the books listing. And you can do searching. I'm looking for books in certain categories and, with good reviews and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to kind of grab a book quickly. Here's what you do. You just choose a book, and it queues up, and here I am. And it's the same on the iPad. And I see I'm not there yet either. So once you do on the iPad, one of the things it can do is in the upper right where it says Settings, because your screen will look like this on the iPad. If you click there, you get speech options. And if I choose a voice, it will read it aloud to the student as they turn from page to page to page. Okay? That's one of the things. And it does that on a computer. It does it on an iPad. It does it on an Android. It does it on the Chromebook. Any platform, because it's being pushed down from their website down. So you don't have to worry about a voice on your computer. It's coming from them and pushing down. So the student can now choose a book and go through it. Better yet, what we can do, because do you have issues with the internet occasionally in your school? It's like everybody's like, oh no, it's like, oh yes. And so just like we're having today, so one of the things you can do is, if we click in the settings, what do you think we're going to want to do? Hint, hint. Oh, download it. Oh, because on the iPad, we can download it right onto the iPad, and we can just go and get all of these books. And when we go to download, oh, look at this. We can download it as a PowerPoint, because you saw that I downloaded as a PowerPoint before. This will go right into iBooks. And if we download this into iBooks onto their iBook bookshelf, what do you think the student can do if they open up the book? You can select the text and it'll read it aloud to them. Because remember, we turned on those reading features in the iPad. So we could stay on this site on the iPad and go, download, want it, onto my iBooks bookshelf. Download it, want it, download it, want it. And fill up our bookshelf with, and maybe create a different collection with all of these free books. So you can go through and see if you like it first. And if you like it, go ahead and download it. And so, oh my God, I didn't even start creating my own yet, and already my bookshelf is filled with books for my kids. And that's the point here. And you can create an account, and you can upload your PowerPoint books into Tar Heel Reader. Why would you bother doing that? Here's a hint. Oh, because if I put it up there, then it'll convert it to an EPUB for me, and I can bring it right down into my iPads and iBooks. How much did this cost us so far? Free. Oh my God! How much did iBooks cost at the app for the bookshelf? Free. Any issues so far with what we're doing? You know. So I'll toggle over. I see that I've got on my iPad. I've got it up here. So you see, it's the same thing. You come here. You go to Find a Book, and once I do Find a Book, it'll get to what you just saw a moment ago. If I choose download, and let's see if I can actually get to finding a book and downloading. And I'll come back to it. That way you can see the process. But when I choose download and I choose EPUB, what do you think I'm going to see as the next step? Think back to Dropbox. What do you think I'm going to see if I choose download as an EPUB on my iPad? Just take a guess. Any guesses? Remember when I tried to download the PDF from Dropbox? Yeah, and what did I see? All of these options of things I can open it in. And so iBooks is going to be one of them. You just choose iBooks, and it completes the process. Okay. So I'm going to let that run for a second. I'll come back to it and show you that last step if it's running a little slow for you. Okay. So we haven't even gotten off the computer yet, and look what we've done for the iPad. You know? And how many of you and your students could be doing everything we just did so far? And look how versatile those files are that we just created. We got them now. We've got them running. The book's running as a PowerPoint show. Don't have to worry about the kids opening it up and accidentally, kind of messing things up. We've got it in formats that run on all these other platforms. And we've got all these computers that, oh, what do we do with the computer now? We're going to iBooks and everything else. It's like, oh God, this is your hub. Okay. And I'll let that run, and I'm going to go over to another iPad, and we're going to start to take a look at ebook creating programs right on the iPad. So let me bring up, and when I see this ready, I'll pull it up and just show you that last step so you have an idea of what it looks like. So those of you who downloaded the apps that I put up on the board earlier, we're going to take a look at creating an ebook on the iPad. We're also going to take a look at distributing it because, hey, if I make it here, wouldn't it be cool to play on, like what other device would you like to play that ebook on? Android, Chrome, computer, Mac, PC? Why not, right? How many of you have, oh, my student bought an Android. We have iPads in the classroom. The other classroom has a couple MacBook Airs, and at home he has a PC. So wouldn't you like to be able to make a book that runs on everything and runs everywhere? Well, the one that we're going to take a look at first is one of my favorites because the file formats and all the stuff we put in it will play on every other platform in the readers. And then we're going to talk about readers too. One thing, we've made ebooks. We've always needed something to play it in, right? Even with Acrobat, we made a PDF book, but we needed Acrobat Player to open it. We made something in PowerPoint, but you need a PowerPoint Player to open it, right? We're going to make an EPUB. You need an EPUB reader to open it, and iBooks is an ebook reader. So that's why we put them on the iBooks bookshelf. So I know most of you have downloaded Book Creator for iPad. raise your hand if you did so I can gauge the audience of what we've got. You should, good. So we're going to do this. I'm going to go slow enough so that we can create. And if you do have it and the person next to you doesn't, and they're like drooling on you because, oh my God, you know, maybe you can see if you can get it downloaded while we're doing this. So I'm going to open up my folder with eBook Write. And the free version that I had you download does everything that we're doing here, only you can only create one page. I mean, one book, rather. You know, because when I open up mine, you'll see lots of books. So go ahead and if I were you, I think once you play with this, you got like $3.99 on buying it. So let's open up Book Creator for iPad. And here I have mine open. When yours opens, you'll have something that'll say tutorial. Okay. Okay, you can close that out. Actually, I think that is like a book in their bookshelf. We're going to end up doing a new book in just a minute. How many of you have iOS 6? Because I can show you the difference. Do most of you have iOS 7 on your iPads that you're running? Okay. If you, anytime during the session, if I've got an app open, you go, mine looks different. I've got iOS 6 on one and iOS 7 on the other, just so you, because every now and then it does the same thing. The button looks a little different on the iOS update. So you notice this is I've got the full version, and see these are books that we have made or are in progress. Oh, there's that bad kitty again. Oh my God, you know, bad kitty just shows up everywhere. Okay. And so I've got a bookshelf in a sense of books that are in the works or books that I've made, because we create here and then we export it out of here to a bookshelf like iBooks or eBook Reader. So anything in here we're making. I mean, we can go and play it, but you typically don't. You don't have the kids come up and open it up and play the book here. We make it here, and we'll see where we put it. So I'm going to hit the plus button because I want to do a new book. And do you see where Create New Book is on your version? You see the plus button anywhere there? Is there anybody who doesn't see it? I see no hands up. I have to gauge the audience by, you got it. You're good. You know, if no hands go up, you're teachers. I have to believe you. So I'm doing a new book, and typically it comes up to something like this. Okay, and we're just choosing the format. You know, do you want a portrait, square, landscape? It does not matter, because you know what you're going to do later. You're going to go try them all and see what the books look like. And, you know, landscape, do you like your books to have a lot of space this way? Portrait, do you always want them, you know, to be like portrait? It'll lay it out that way. I'm just going to choose square. We'll shoot for the middle. It doesn't matter what you choose. But go ahead, choose one. It'll open it up, and it'll look like this. So those of you working with us that have it, we all set? We ready to roll? Good. Did I mention this is a No Teacher Left Behind workshop? So, which is probably why you're like, he's being so nice to us. He really cares whether we learn out or not. Like, maybe I shouldn't have said that, huh? See, when you work for yourself, I just like get out of control. My wife says, you need to wear a blazer because you get up there and act like a 9-year-old, and if you don't wear a blazer, you won't look professional. So here's what happens in Book Creator for iPad. I just want you to watch for a second, because I'm going to talk about the features, and then we're going to go kind of make some stuff. But everything happens with the plus button up here. And when I hit plus, choose from, I can add photos, and then it's actually accessing your photo library, which means if you have video in your photo library, you can bring in a video. If you have pictures in your photo library, you can access any of those. If you choose camera, you can take a live picture or record live video and pull it right in. So it's like, woohoo, we could be, you know, like making a book on the fly on a field trip, like record it, put it in, document it, record it, pull it in, document it. I can use a pen to draw, and they've had updates. If any of you who had it even a couple months ago, you'd run an update, it's like, oh, look at, they added a couple of new features to it. I can add text, as many text boxes as I want, and I can layer the text, meaning I can have a picture with text on top of the picture to label different things in the picture. Text can have different background colors. It can be different colors, different font sizes. I can add sound, so I can import from my iTunes library, or I can record my own. What have I left out? You can draw, you can type, You can do as much as you want. You take a picture. You can take a picture live. You can bring in a movie. You can record a movie live, bring it in. You can record your own voice and bring in music that you brought in. Is there anything else that would go into a book? So let's start small. We'll start to layer all these things. And you're gonna, I know we'll hear that, Dan, you are so right. This is just so cool. Okay, so let's start off and get a photo. So I assume you're on your iPad. I assume most of you have at least a photo in your photo library. Some of you are grinning, going like, "I have a 2078," and you know. So let's go get a picture. It doesn't matter what kind of picture. I'm just going to go to the photo library and just go grab a photo. I'll grab this one. Let's see. Here we go. Does everybody have a photo in there? We'll bring in a movie later and deal with video. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at this and talk about the features in the others. And once you learn this program, you understand the workings of the iPad and exporting and things like that. And it's easy to look at the next one and go, oh, how does this one export? Oh, what features are in this? And you tend to really just look at the feature list. And the most important thing is exporting. Because if I can't get the book out of the program, you know, I don't know if I want to do that. And if I can export it as an EPUB, I know I can go anywhere with it. And then what are the features? Can I record my own voice and all these things? You get a picture in there. You can resize by grabbing the little resize handles at the corners. You notice as you move it around, see those green lines coming up and down? Those are centering lines. And if I get it in the center, you see now I've got a cross. I know that picture is dead center on the page. If I move it up, I know it's centered because we know, especially for you as teachers, what's the most important thing? Everything is nice and neat and lined up just right. Okay? If I gave you a drawing program, you'd be working with that all day long. We got to stop and move on. Like, wait a minute, I just want to decorate a little more. So it's really nice because that alignment thing, all the kids can get everything nice and straight. You know, because sometimes when you're free moving, it's hard to know. And then when you go to page, the image jumps a little because it wasn't lined up the same way. So we've got a picture in there. And I just tap anywhere on the page, and there it is. Let's go get some text. So I hit the plus button, and let's go and add text. Okay. So it comes up, and let's just type anything, because we're going to look at we can add more, we can move it around, stuff like this. Off I go into space. I know some of you might be thinking, I thought that was where he was right now. No. So you've got some text. I hit the Done button. My text box drops down onto the screen, and see I can drag it around. Ooh, let's go for a ride. No, it's over here. No, over here. And once again, the text box, see that centering line? So I know I can make sure the text is in line. I can resize the text box. You know, I want it to be just the size of the text, so when I center it, I know it's nice and neat. Centered on the picture, centered nice and pretty. And I just tap. Everybody have text now? So now that you've put that in, let me show you some of the things with text, because remember I said, how many text boxes do you think you could put on the page? You got it. You know, the answer is yes to everything. So yes, yes more, yes, yes, yeah. So select your text box. Just touch on it once to select it. See it's selected. Okay. See the little I for information in the upper right? Go ahead and tap that. And look what comes up. This is a menu that just has to do with what was selected. Oh, did I start to hear oohs? It was like, ooh, look, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Oh, look how easy. Woo, woo, woo. Look at that, how easy it is to change the font size. I can make it bold. I can change the background color. Why would I want to change the background color? Yeah, and what might I put it on top of so I could have a background color? The picture, someone said it. The picture, exactly. What if I want to label it? If it was, you know, black text on a black background, it's like you wouldn't, you know, it's like talking, you know, I'm looking for the invisible man. Tell him I can't see him right now. So if I change the background color, you know, to, you know, even if I choose white, okay, I'm going to choose white and go back. And then you see that I can move it to the front, move it to the back, center the text. So if I want it on top of the picture, you know, move it to the front. Okay, and then what happens is, and you know we can adjust, work with page and everything else, but now I've got it white, and let me just do this. And if I were to do this, see how it's going to make sure I've got a white background so you can see the text. Otherwise, the text will get lost in the picture. Now, this is a pretty small picture. I made the font really large. But what if the picture were pretty much filling the full page, and I could then do something like this and simply have it lined up like this? If I've got a picture that has a lot of that blank space at the bottom, maybe. Which means I can go and label things. What if I had a farm scene? I could put cat, dog, horse, cow, goat, and put all those labels on top of the image labeling the scene. So what do you think so far? Oh, guess what? Just wait, there's more. So let's go add some sound and see a couple of things you could do with sound. Let's go to plus, and let's go to add sound. Now I have a recording button. You see that I can import from the iTunes library. So if you had, if you downloaded sound clips like, a car driving or whatever, you could bring those in. But we're going to record, and I'll demonstrate a simple recording to begin with, which kind of makes sense to what I have on the page here. So off I go into space. Hit the button, give it about a half a second to queue up. Off I go into space. Tap the stop button. Do you want to use it? Yes. And it puts a little speaker icon. Okay. And now to play it, I can double tap and hear what I've recorded. A single tap. Off I go into space. Okay. So single tap. Off I go into space. Okay. So what did I just record right now? Hint, hint. I recorded exactly what the text was, because maybe I do this and line it up. And now my student sees it, touches that, and there's me reading it aloud. Okay. Yes? Mr. Mike.
All right, when you convert this, like the finalized product, you don't necessarily have to go on ahead and make the sound bite, though, because wouldn't that already be in the ebook, too? Reading the words, I should say.
Yes, it would, because you're right, when I put it onto the iBooks bookshelf, first of all, they could select the text and it would be read aloud simply by the change we made in the iOS, the read selected text. The reason I might do that is maybe I don't like the voice that's on the iPad. Maybe the student doesn't have the dexterity to actually hold their finger down on it and select the text. Touching that button is really much easier. I spoke in English, and this is in English. What could I have recorded that in? Spanish, what else? Arabic, Swahili, Vietnamese, Czechoslovakian? Yes to everything. Because, yes, I could record it in a foreign language, and now I have a book that's in English be read aloud, and then this would play it back in whatever you've recorded it in another language. Go ahead.
It'd be neat to be able to put like a science fact informational text item under the button so they could combine facts with what they're creative writing.
Oh, yes. And because we can have multiple text boxes and they could be different sizes, we could, in the button, see, the button could be any size you want it to be too. So we could do just that. And because it could be down here. How many recordings do you think you could put on the page? More than one? This is the only time you say more than one? Yes, more than one, because we're actually going to put more than one in just a moment. So I've got that, and that kind of makes sense, right? So go ahead and record your first one, put this in. Then we're going to put another one in. It's okay to talk. Don't sit there, I hate hearing my voice. Come on. Okay, I see no hands. So we all have at least this recorded now, right? So watch what else I can do. Because that's okay. Hey, I'm here for you. You're here to make. So now that we've done one, this one makes sense. Watch what else we can do with this record feature, though. I'm going to add another one in, but this time it's going to look a little different. So I hit the plus button, add sound. This is the rocket ship that I made, and I'm heading for the moon for lunch. Okay, I want to use it. I'm going to put it on top of the picture, and I'm going to make it pretty much full size. The first thing I know you're thinking is, well, Dan, you put it on top of the picture, and now you're kind of distracting the picture. Watch what we could do, though. So I put it there. Is that button selected right now? See this button? Is that selected on my screen? No, because I know if I tap it, see, this tells me it's selected. Once it's selected, remember I can go to that information button up here. And when I come down, oh, look at this, invisible in iBooks. So if I turn that on, and it's in grayscale right now, so I know it's there, what do you think happens when we shoot this baby over to iBooks? Do you think they're going to see the button? What do you think is going to happen if they tap on the picture of the spaceship? It's going to play the sound file that we recorded. You got it. It's like, so if this were like a barnyard scene, I could record sounds for all the animals and make them all invisible in iBooks. And the student could tap on the animal and moo, you know, hey, I know you guys wouldn't record that sound, but you could download those. And then you could, if you needed to, you could hire someone like me to come in and do that kind of recording for you, because I know you don't want to do that. But, or better yet, get the students to do it. You know, who wants to be the horse or whatever. But the point being, I can label the picture with sound or text. Because remember, we can put text labels up here. We could put sound labels. And, you know, I did something kind of silly, because when I tap on it here, here we go. This is the rocket ship that I made, and I'm heading for the moon for lunch. You know, if I'm a student, and I was, so let's, I know this won't be a giant leap, but let's make believe I'm a kid who made this book. And this is the kind of thing I might do, because here's my story, but there's a little more information. You know, tap on the picture and you get more information on what I've done, that I don't have to write everything in there. But you know, I could have simply labeled it rocket ship, XR-22 rocket ship, you know, whatever it is, whatever your picture is, and whatever sound files you want to, you know, layer on top of them. So when you start to look at this, and we start to think about students in literacy, ELL students labeling all kinds of things in the image, you know, vocabulary, you know, the text could be in English, invisible sound buttons could be in Spanish, the text could be in Spanish, and then when they tap around, it's you pronouncing all the in English, horse, cow, you know, barn. It could be both. I could have a button that you see and a button you don't. It's like, so you start to, it's really one of those, you look at what it does, and then you step back for a second and you think, what do I want to do with it? And then, you know, and this is where all these ideas come out. And we still have more to do. I mean, it's like, look at all we've done so far, okay? Anybody want to add to what we've, you know, some of these ideas that I'm spitting out? Because the ideas are really the key. That's what it's all about. I can show you the little mechanics we're doing here. Let's make a book. Let's put a picture in, put some text, and like, okay, I can do that. But all these other creative ideas that you have, that's what really makes it. It's like, that's how we can use it in science. Oh, this is how we can use it in social studies. What could I do with this in history? If I had a map there, what could I layer on that map? Dates, you touch here, and now there's a whole little narrative. This is where George Washington crossed through the valley on the way, you know, where I don't want to put all that text in there, but there's a map, and everywhere they touch along the line, where, you know, they're getting information, and it's all, you know, it's recorded what you've done, what they've done, maybe they do the research. Maybe it's a picture of Martin Luther King, and I've downloaded into iTunes his speech. And they touch on the picture, they hear the speech, and then I have the text underneath it. They hear the real person. Whoa, that's really powerful. We get a picture of Abraham Lincoln in here, and then we have a student recording themselves reading the Gettysburg Address. Ooh, right? Kids don't want to get up in front of the class and read, but they'll record. And then we've got a book with them doing the things that we want them to do anyway, you know, reading and reciting and that kind of stuff. Each kid could take a different character. Like, anything else to add? Yes? How much time do you get to record? I think it's either 2 minutes or unlimited. Some of the programs are 2 minutes, some are unlimited, just based on how much space you have. I could probably find out, but I'll bet they don't even have it listed there, because even 2 minutes, you talk for 2 minutes, and then we'll see how much you can get in, okay? So anyway, go ahead and put an invisible button over your picture just to pull one in, see what it's like. Record anything you want. And then we're going to add more.
Okay, I forgot. Where'd you go to get it started?
So we go to the plus. You mean to close out of the app or to add more? So we go to the plus button at the top, right? And then what do you want to add? Sound, text, photos. It's okay to be loud. We're recording sound.
Whoa.
Your kids would have had no problem with that. I have chosen the route of not growing up so I can live in both worlds. I can dress up and act like an adult sometimes, And once you do, remember, once it's selected and over the picture, choose the eye, and we're going to turn on invisible in iBooks. So that way when we put it into iBooks, it'll be invisible. Right now it's got that little grayscale so we know where it is and we know we have one there. And you notice when I've done that, it also tells me the duration of what it was, 5 seconds long. Everybody else set so far? Okay, to go to the next page, we just click on the arrow to the right, and we have a new page. Well, that was easy. And now I've got a clean slate, and what do you think all the things I can do? Oh, video, sound, everything else. So watch, I'm going to pull in a video. So if I hit the plus button, and I go to my photo library, and I'm just going to go to my camera roll, if it's a video, see all these little things here with the video icon? It's a video. If it's a photo, it'll pull in the photo. So if you go through your iPad and you have video that you've downloaded, and let me see if this is the one. I have one of my iPads, I have a whole slew of giraffe videos. Not on this one, I don't think. I went to the San Diego Zoo and, all right, I'll just pull in one of the ones I have here. Or I could do live. Here's one of me. This could be scary. Who knows what I said here, right? So I'm gonna select that. Here's the video. Video made with my iPad. How do I get it off the computer? Cool. I'm gonna use it. So when I tell use, just like the photo, see, resize it, put it where you want it to be, line it up. So now, here's video made with my iPad. How do I get it off the computer? I've got a video that will play. And of course, I could add camera. And I can take a picture live. See, I can say, I can see you. Now everybody's like, no, no, no. I'll swap it. So take a picture of me. I'm going to use the photo. It'll bring it in. Okay, there I am, caught off guard. The prize patrol came to my table here. And see, so just with the camera, so if you're on a field trip, you could be like dumping stuff in, semi-assembling the book, and then when you get back, we'll do the writing or recording. Or the kid could record right there on the spot. Because imagine you're at a nature preserve and you record the sounds of the animals and you're bringing them in, and then we're going to put the sounds over it and all that kind of stuff. So you can record a video, you can take a picture live, and like I did, snapshot, and you can bring it into the iPad also, into the book rather. So if I use the pen tool, now I've got some drawing tools at the top. What do I want? I'll choose that. And I could actually do some cartoony things like, wow. And I'm done. And look at that. Oh, how cool. Oh, look what he's making. He's making comic books with his book creator. This guy just has no boundaries. He's just out of control here. Look, he can do anything. And so can your kids. And that's the point of this particular program here. Do you see why I chose this one? Look how versatile it is. Which one of you kids cannot create a book with this? Because if they're not nonverbal, how many of you work with students that use a communication device? Those of you, and you know what I'm talking about, they might have a dynamo. Communication device, they cue up the speech in it. You start the record button. They get voice output from the device, and they're going to record that right into here. And you know what happens when someone else listens to their story? Hey, who's that? Hey, that's Mikey. How do you know? Oh, that's his voice. Just like if you recorded it, I would know it's you. How many of those students ever get a chance to do this? Like, oh, maybe almost never? What's the motivation to use a device if no one's going to listen, right? And now the kids are, now we got these kids that are going to want to, what, use a device and create books? Ooh. Right, because they queue up, one day, once upon a time on their device. Ready? Okay, I'll start the recording. They get bored. I'll put, I record it. Okay, what do you want to say next? Cues it up. We go to the next page. Cue up the recording. Go ahead, voice output. Okay, let's get some pictures popping in. He's told a story. His parents can listen to him telling the story, just like you can listen to me telling the story. So how are you doing with it so far? What do you think of the program? Yeah. Okay. It's like, could I use, matter of fact, could I use this to create like a science project in? Because every day, because watch what happens. I'm going to go to my books. It auto saves it. I'm going to go to my books. Okay, and here it is. Tomorrow I come back and I just open it up. And now, where did I leave off? Next page. Okay, I'm ready to add another page. Here's my, you guys will remember this one. Here's my fruit fly experiment with all my, test tubes with, I think, shake them up. Wake up. I didn't think they all died on me, Like, remember all this stuff? And here's my plant growth, one. This one's doing okay. But I could be taking pictures of it every day, put it into the book, and recording all the documentation. The kids who have difficulty with writing, with organization skills, simply taking the picture. Yesterday, I added this to the solution in all the test tubes, and I noticed that in test tube B, it seems to be growing more today, or it grew a half an inch, or whatever it is. And I could document it, record it, put it in there, where if the student had to go and type all that, do you think it all comes, starts here, loses a little in translation, gets to the other end, and then it's like bugs died. It's like, could you give me a little more information there before we do an autopsy? So what subject could I not be using this program and creating books in? Because this made sense. We're talking about making a book, and now I'm talking about using it in a totally different context. And why would I? Because, oh my God, look how it's so easy to get. I could record video of a process, bring it in here live. I can add text to label things. I can record my own voice documenting it. And then when we're done, we're going to take a look at how versatile this platform is, the ePub platform. Because I'm going to take this book, and we're going to play it on a Chromebook, we're going to play it on Android, and I'm going to play it on my computer. The sound, the video, everything. It's like, hokey smokes, Rocky. Look, there you go. That's what I've been waiting for. I'm finally getting to that. Whoa, welcome to my world. It's like, I know, it's hard to believe I do this for a living. Huh? What's that? That's why you're here. Okay, so we've all got a bunch of stuff in here, right? Let's actually shoot it out because we have more to play with. And I have all these toys over here that I want to show you too. Okay, once we're done, and let's say we're done. We've got some of the elements in there. Let's click on My Books, and we get back to our bookshelf. If you downloaded the free version, that's the only book you'll have right now. And to kind of use it again, I got to go delete the stuff and make more. But I wouldn't be able to save and add to it the next day. See, like I've got all these other books that I've been working on. I could go back and edit it. So whichever one is queued up in the center here, that's the one we're going to export out. So does everybody have their book front and center? If we look down below in the lower right, we can see it's a little box with the up arrow. If you were on iOS 6, there's a little icon or an older version of a cloud with an arrow coming out of it, the same thing. So if we select that, look at some of the things we can do with it. We can email the book, so I could email it to you. We could print the book. And just to let you know, because my laptop and my iPad are on the same Wi-Fi network, How many of you do not have Wi-Fi printers in your school? Right? How many of you do not have Wi-Fi printers at home? Well, there's a couple programs that I have listed in your handout for printing from an iPad. And if you, and most of them have trial versions. And if I go to print book, look what I can do. I'm going to do print book, select printer, and I'll wait for it to, oh, you know, I didn't launch the program on. I'll come back for a second. I got to make sure the program's on here. I have a program on here called Fingerprint 2. And the way it works is, if I have the app launched on my computer, and if my computer and iPad are on the same Wi-Fi network, my iPad sees all the printers that my computer can print to, and when as long as my computer's on and the printer's on, I can send it wirelessly to my computer and onto the printer. And that will work in any app that you can print on the iPad. What would happen is select printer. Oh, there it is. I got it running. See all the printers I have here? Well, there is the LaserJet I usually have connected to my laptop at home. If I select it right now and tell it to print, and I was at home, it would shoot it right out to the LaserJet and print it. So if you're wondering how do I print on an iPad, there's a couple of solutions listed in your handout. So I'm going to go back because I'm not going to print. Instead, what we're going to do is choose, and you notice that export PDF is also there. Remember, if you export it as a PDF, you're going to lose the video and the sound. It's going to flatten it. And then, you know, maybe sometimes it's all right. It's all right, depending on how we made the book. We're going to choose Open in Other App. And when we do you see iBooks as one of your choices? And if you didn't, it probably meant you never downloaded iBooks. But how many of you, does everybody have iBooks as a choice? Yep. Good. Let's choose Open in iBooks and let it do its thing. It puts it together. It opens up iBooks. You give it a second. Pretty soon it's going to show up on the iBooks bookshelf. And it'll open it up. See, here comes mine. Zip, and there it is. And oh, look at tap the sound icon, you know. Off I go into space. Hey, who is that guy? And now I can turn the pages, and there's my video. And, see and I noticed that I can go full screen with the video. Oh, come on, we want to see Dan's full screen, right? So, okay, let's open it up. And isn't that cool? Because if we got videos, we were on a field trip, we put videos in, it'd be full screen. There's, you know. So, yes, we know I could hold my finger down and see I could select the text, and I've got the speak option.
Off I go into space.
And it'll read it. But I also have that little sound icon, which is me reading it. Off I go into space. Okay, and there we go. Better yet, maybe I want my students to have recorded that. I could, you know, open it up full size and turn the pages so they're full size. And depending on, did you do it landscape, did you do it square, portrait, you know, there's the layout. Oh my God, is that so cool? So, let me come back to Book Creator for a moment. And let's see, let me do this. Let me go back to Book Creator for iPad. When you exported it, we just shot it over to iBooks because we had to put it on the bookshelf, and aha, we got a book. But when I did open in another app, if I start scrolling through, oh, what shows up on my list here? Oh, you know, and if you work with any of the other ones, and I start scrolling through Open in Box, which is online. Oh, open in Google Drive, if you have a Google Drive account. Oh, look at that. I could shoot this book. If I can put this book into Dropbox, what devices could I download it onto? Oh, anything. You're right. Now you're getting the big picture. Like, these are just toys. These are like, it's like crayons in the box. Which one do you want to grab? It's not like, oh, we can only draw with the green one, you know. So I can shoot that up to Dropbox. And so if I do, let me show you what it looks like if I bring it down on a Chromebook. Any of you have Chromebooks in your school? Those of you who are shaking your head, no, you're going to go home today and read something in the paper that our district has decided to go to Chromebooks, and that's where, and you're like, ah, where was Dan? You know. So here's my Chromebook, and what you do, and what's that? You go to one with iPads today till someone else becomes your principal next year, and then you're going to one with you know. So on your computer and in the Chrome, because Chrome is really just a browser, you want to use the Chrome browser on a Mac, a PC, or a Chromebook. Chromebook, yeah, you don't have a choice. You get the Chrome browser. But I want to demonstrate just using your web browser as an e-reader and what you want to actually install. This is what's called an add-on, and we're gonna work with an add-on in just a little bit. But I have an add-on, and I'll close this out so you see me from scratch, bringing it up. And the add-on is called Readium. Okay, Readium, and I've got it here on my Chromebook, and I'll toggle over to. Whoops, sorry, a little out of control with the. Let me get that full size. There we go. So Readium is an add-on for the Chrome browser. On Chrome, it runs like an app. I'm going to go to my PC in a minute and show you the Chrome browser and show you where it is. But it's free. You go to the, here I go to the Chrome store and I go and download Readium. On the PC, I go to the Google Play Store, download into my Chrome app browser. This is what it does, though. In Chrome, and let me make sure you can see the whole screen here. Here we go. There's my Chromebook. Oh, look at that. He's broadcasting a Chromebook, and he's not even connected to anything. See the document camera I'm working with? Can you see my Chromebook? It's nice and clean. It's like, oh, duh, you know. Why deal with technology? Sometimes it's so easy to just pop this right under here like this. So anyway, with Readium, I come up to the upper right. There's a little plus button. And you go and choose a file. So if I've downloaded from Dropbox that book, remember the EPUB that we just made? Because I could go to Dropbox, download it, and then I choose file here, and it will go to where the downloads go on a Chromebook. And I would find it, and I would open it up, and then what it would do is show up on my list here. See all the books that I have here? Basically, I downloaded them. And I'm going to go and open up one that I've already downloaded. Here's one called Vacation Book, and I'll bring it up. Take a wild guess what app I created that in. Come on, you all know. What app do you think? It's okay to say it. Book created for iPad, yes, because I created, you could tell by the little speaker icon there, right? Well, look at, if I come into here and I click on the speaker icon, let me do it again. I had an interesting vacation. Okay, so here I am in Chrome, on a Chromebook. This we made on an iPad. I shot it up to Dropbox. And there's the sound recordings. And when I go to the next page, and give it a second to get to the next page, I think this is the one I have it in. If it's not, I have another one. I'm looking for, let's see, here it is. Okay. And I could go just like on the iPad. Okay. Is that the San Diego Zoo on a personal field trip? And okay, and I can go back. When it's done, it would shrink anyway. Let me pause that. So that's a video I dropped into Book Creator for iPad. So look at all the things we did on the iPad that play, you know, the sound, the video. When I exported it, Readium is one of the best. It actually is the only ebook reader that I have found so far for the computer platform that will play the things I want. If I put in a recorded sound file, it'll play it back. If I put in the video, like you see here, it'll play it back. So I can make the ebook on the iPad. It'll play on my Chromebook. Is that a good thing? Because, oh, maybe the student has a Chromebook at home. Maybe they couldn't afford a laptop, they bought a Chromebook. The student can make the ebook at school, shoot up his Dropbox account, go home, and then he can show his parents, look here's our field trip, and here's video and all kinds of stuff we've dropped into it right here in Chrome, on the Chromebook. I get to do the same thing on an Android, and Here's I've got a Google Nexus 10 here. Okay, and I'm going to go and open up. Once again, I had to go and find an ebook reader, and there's a lot of ebook readers. Like iBook is an ebook reader. Do you make books in iBooks? No, we bring them into the bookshelf and it plays them. So I had to go find a good ebook reader for the Android platform that fit my criteria. Wanted to play sound, wanted to play video, display the text. I wanted it to look the same way. And I went through, must have gone through 15 or 20, actually probably more than that, until I actually found the one. And it's in your handout. It's called Git, G-I-T-D-E-N, Git Reader. Git Reader. And I'm going to open it up. And here we go. Oh my God, that's the one I just showed you on the Chromebook. Oh my God, look what I can do on the interesting vacation. Oh my God, look what that still is playing on an Android now. So he made it where, oh look at that, he's got a video in there. Look, if he taps the video, give it a second to queue up and it'll play. I should have just waited for it to catch. There we go. There we go. And give it a second, it'll start playing. And I think I did some updates. Of course, I shouldn't have done that this morning, but it'll play if I give it a second and just queue it up. I'm going to stop it for a second here. So I've got the Git Reader will play all the stuff that we just did on the iPad, recorded and embedded sound files, and record or embedded video. So I can make them, and now it's going to play on the Android. And then when I go to my computer, I can go to a Mac or PC, the same thing. All you need to do is work with the Chrome browser, because remember, Redium's for Chrome. So I'm going to open my Chrome browser. Go to the apps that I've gotten. Of course, what's the app we're looking for? Redium. Let's see, where is it? I think I have it on here. It should be. Tell me if I missed it. I might have put it on the, this might be in the front. Emails. I didn't sync it onto this laptop. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Okay. And here we are. And I'm trying to remember which one has the videos and stuff. Let me see if this one. One, the sound didn't record right, and the other one did. Okay. There's video. Okay. Watching the deer walking around in the backyard. Okay, and there you go. So there's the video. This is the deer in the headlights scenario. Okay. And now I'm playing the same books now on my laptop, on a Mac or PC, in the Chrome web browser with Redium as the EPUB reader. Okay. Because when I'm in Redium, I simply go to, and let me go back to the library, just like I did on the iPad, on the Chromebook rather. I hit the plus button. Okay, go choose the file. Where's the book that you had? I would have downloaded it from Dropbox, and I'm ready to go. And then I import it in, and now it's here on my bookshelf, so to speak, on my computer. So this book that we created started on the iPad with all those cool features. Now we're playing it on all the other platforms. So it doesn't matter to me that we've got an old Mac over here, we've got a PC here, and the student's got a Chromebook at home. It doesn't matter. We'll make the books here and move them out. So when we start to work with ebook programs, the key things to keep in mind is, it's one thing to create it. Can we export out of the app? And what's the file format? EPUB is what we're doing here. And then, do you have a reader on the other platforms capable of playing what we just did? So, questions so far? Just double checking the time that I have you here. And don't worry about the fact that they locked the door so you can't escape till 3 o'clock. No. All right, so let's do some more stuff then. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to come back to do more on the iPad, but let me close out of my browser. Those of you who have a computer, you can do this on a computer. You can also do it on an iPad, but I'll have you wait because it's a little tricky to do what we're about to do. How many of you have laptops with you? A couple of you do. Those of you who don't, I have this in the handout, so when you watch and see what it does, I know you're going to go run back to your room after and get your laptop out. Okay. So go ahead and get your web browser up. And if you have Chrome or Firefox, that's what you want to open. How many of you only have Internet Explorer? Anybody? Well, you got a Mac, so you've got to have, is that a Mac that you have in your lap? So do you have Firefox, or do you have Safari? What, Safari?
Safari.
That'll be good. Internet Explorer is probably the worst one to do it in, and we'll see why when we get there. So let me close out Tar Heel Reader. And what we want to do is go to, the website is called readability.com. www.read.ability, all one word, .com. And this is where you get. So I'll give you a moment to get there so you can look down at your laptops and not look up at me and I'm 10 steps ahead of you. Just to test the internet, how many of you are here, have gotten here? You've gotten here. So if you got a laptop, you're probably here. Here's what it's going to do. It's going to put an add-on onto your web browser. And I'm here in Firefox right now, and see these 3 little buttons I have here where it says Read Now, this little red button that says Read Later, and this icon that says Send a Kindle. Can you see it way back there, these right here? It's going to end up putting it on your toolbar, either here, depending on your browser, or in the right-hand corner. But we'll get it on, and then we'll take a look at what do you got and where did it go, okay? You come to the screen, and we are going to choose Apps and Add-ons in the upper right here. So click on Apps and Add-ons, and it comes to here. So is everybody here? It looks at the browser that you are using right now, because mine knows, see what it says readability for Firefox? So what does yours say? Oh, see, and it looks at what browser you came here with, and it's going to give you the extension that goes with your web browser, okay? So what you do is you're going to click on Download, and it's actually not going to download. It's going to download, but then it's going to put it in your browser. You may get a message from your browser, are you sure you want me to install this extension? You tell it yes, and then what happens is you need to restart your browser. So you quit out of it altogether, not close out of the window, but quit out of your browser, and you relaunch your browser. And then, for example, if you're in Firefox, it'll put it here. If you're in Chrome, so I'll launch my Chrome browser and wait for it to get here. It will put it, and wait for it to finish loading. I've got it here in my extensions, my add-ons, so I end up choosing it from here. I could have it on my toolbar here, but I've got a lot of add-ons here. So go ahead and restart your browser. And tell me if you can, tell me if you can't find. You're looking for our little red couch sometimes in the upper right-hand corner. It'll look like, see the icon right here on my little tab? Or this icon here, actually. It'll take on some browsers, it'll take that couch you'll find up in the corner, and that's the readability button. On other browsers like mine, it's got those 3 little buttons there, and that's the part of the readability toolbar. Is there anybody who can't find where it is if you've installed it? Once you've installed it and do a restart, can you find that readability button there? You can find it, you're okay, you're good? Good. Anybody who can't? It's okay, we won't kick you out of the game. We'll still let you have another chance. So I'm going to give you a sec. I see people still looking and trying to restart their browser. And we'll see what this does. So remember, you restarted after, yeah. So how are you doing? Are you getting it in there? How many of you were able to install it, just to gauge the audience? You got it. Anybody else? Do you have a laptop? You think? It's just, okay, I just want to know. Let's take a look at how you're doing. Are you getting it in there?
No.
Is it just taking a long time to download?
Am I? No. Since
Yeah,
it's in my
tell to
demos?
install.
Okay, I did that once.
So it probably can't install this extension.
It did before, though, and it was allowing me to log in.
Okay, so you don't, close out of there. Let's get out of here. Quit out of Safari and restart it. I'll take a look. No, so you didn't quit out of Safari. Quit out altogether and then, then restart.
That's why I went on.
And how are you doing?
I clicked install and then it just said restart it.
Yeah, did you quit and restart? Let me see what you got there. Go to the far right. See where it says reader? In the far right of your, yeah. I think that's what it's going to put in Safari now. So take a look at his when we do. Okay, so watch how it works. It's slightly different on the browsers, but once you get it installed, this is what we do. We go to a website, and I'm going to use a really a good example of what's tough for our kids and how powerful readability is. So let me close out of this for a moment. And I'm going to go to CNN. Okay, here I am on CNN. I preloaded this to make sure I could get to here, but here's an article on CNN, right? It's just an article. Look at all the other stuff on this webpage. Okay, what am I supposed to read? What is the article, right? Look at all the, isn't this a typical like CNN article? It's like there's advertising, there's all, and the kids come here, and what am I supposed to be reading? You know, and does this go with this? Does that go with it? This is what readability does. If I come up and click the Read Now button, and on yours it may be the Reader button, and it may be right over in the corner at the end of the URL window. And notice that Reader button that we, when you get here. You have to open an article. If you go to the home page of CNN, it'll say, I don't see an article. If I went to NASA, I wouldn't go to the NASA homepage. I would go to NASA and go to like an article on Saturn. And then it'll do what we're about to do. So once I hit the Read Now button, it says converting, and look at this. Oh my God. Do you want to go back and remember what it looked like? What would you rather have, this or this? Now how much easier is it for your students to read? See what it did? It actually extracted the article out of all the advertising and everything else, and now it's here nice and clean. And if I go to the bottom of the screen, I can click on this export button. Oh my God. What do you think I'm going to export it as? EPUB. Why do you think I'm going to export it as an EPUB? What do you think I can open it up in? iBooks, Android, Chrome, computer. It's like, oh my God. So this article, this could be on, I could go to NASA and get a book on every one of the planets and put it on my iBooks bookshelf. And then students can do it offline. Yes.
When I do that, does it give me citation information that I can use?
What it'll do is this is what I'll give you. Let me scroll back up so you can see it. So here's who wrote it, the date, and I can always go back to the original, and it'll take me to the site. So CNN by the date of the article. And it depends on the article itself and where you got it from. So what its main intent, remember, is to just extract the information out of a busy background and just give me a clean listing of the article. Okay. If you create an account, you don't have to have an account for readability. When you first install it, they go like, here, create an account. You don't have to do that. If you do and you click Read Later, it will save it in your online account that you can access from anywhere else. But this is what readability does. So I can go to places like NASA, or I did a workshop one time. Person comes back the next day. I made 27 books last night. Whew. She goes, yeah. I do a geology section in my science class, and I found this great site that had pictures and articles on all these books, and it's like, oh, look at this. I created eBooks on all the information, and now my kids have a book on igneous rocks and metamorphosis and all this kind of stuff. And so the really good thing is, and you don't have to save this as an EPUB, just simply use it, because if I come to a website like this and I pull up the article, a little distracting to read, just simply doing this, makes it a lot easier. And if you're using a screen reader, because my student can't read it, natural reader, whatever you've got for a screen reader, now it's nice and clean, and there's my text, and the screen reader doesn't have to figure out, am I supposed to read the stuff over here? And it's trying to get the, all that kind of, it's just taken right out. And what does it look like in iBooks? Let me shoot over to my laptop, and we'll take a quick look on in iBooks on what it looks like. I get full screen. Go to my ebook reader, go to iBooks, and it's either on this one or the other iPad. And let me see what I've got. Here's one. We were probably doing this the other day. Readability. Boy hops plane to Vegas. There we go. Okay. If I go take a look down, let me think. Oh no, Florida man swallowed by sinkhole. And then if I scroll, I do have some probably serious ones, but and they're probably on my other iPad. But I shoot them into iBooks, and I've got a bookshelf of current events or whatever it is I need. So that's what readability does. It's a really nice tool. Just on the surface of it, cleans up the background, cleans up everything for the student to be able to read an article. Doesn't matter anywhere you go. So the key is opening up the article, not going to a home page. And now we can create ebooks from web pages. Any questions so far? See how we're doing for time. We're doing good. So if for your iPad, they have an app for the iPad, and what the app does is, let's see, I have this queued up here. If I open up Readability, you can just go to the iTunes store. They have it for the Android. They have it basically for every platform. But if I come and open the app, it'll do this. And then there's another way to have it do what I just did and save it as an EPUB. So I'm just waiting for it to open up. So here are things that I've downloaded. Wait for it to open. See, there it is. And once it's here, I can actually change the font size and things like that, the column width and stuff. And I can shoot it off. So let me just go back. Go back to my reading list. And go back to the browser. So when you download the app, you go in and you type the URL you want to go to from the app. So I could just go to cnn.com and do the same thing. And wherever I'm going to go, and let's see if we're going to get there. And you see there's a Read Now button here, and there's a Read Later button. Read Now will clean out the page, and I continue on and save it. And I'm going to stop here instead of waiting for it to get there, because our Wi-Fi is a little slow today. But similar to what we just did on the computer, but if you want to use it in Safari, this is what you can do. In my version of Safari on the iPad, if I go to a website, let's see if I've got one queued up. And I'll wait for it to get there. In Safari, what I have is a bookmark for readability. And what it will do with this bookmark is actually save it as an EPUB. And on their website, I'm going to toggle over. Because remember, I showed you the app a second ago, and now I'm just in my browser. So in your browser, on the Readability website, oh, did I close it out? I'll just go back to Readability. When you go to add-ons, and then you start scrolling down, there's a section on bookmarklets. See where I am right here? It says bookmarklets. It's a little different than a browser add-on. In bookmarklets, when it says get them here, what you do in your browser, especially on a tablet, if I go to Safari, and first I add a bookmark to Readability. And then what you end up doing is editing the bookmark, and you do this all in the iPad. You'd edit the bookmark, and it kind of explains it on the website, so I'm kind of cutting to the chase, so just so you know you can come here. What you end up doing is this read now. You end up copying this, all the stuff in here. And let me see if I can pull it up for the iPad. Here we go. So I click on the iPad. See this all of this stuff here? On an iPad, I come to here, I hold my finger down, select all of it. I go back to my bookmark and I edit the bookmarks, and instead of having it go to readability.com, I paste this in as if this is the URL. And what happens is when I go to like a website now, I go to my bookmarks and choose the readability bookmark, which instead of going to readability.com now, it runs this little script. And it does, cues it, goes through it, and then I can save it to iBooks as an ebook, as an EPUB file. It's a little tricky. Give it a try, though. Don't be scared. They have it here for a reason. Okay? Once you do it the first time and you got it working right, it's like, woohoo, let me show other people. Okay? And if you can't get it working, just email me. I'll help you. Okay? So this is what you want to do on your iPad. Get this in as a bookmark, and it works really well right from Safari. Okay, a couple little hardware things. Since we, I want to get to make some more ebooks, but just the fact of what we did so far. What if you made an ebook like we did on the iPad, and now you want to give it to all your kids in the class and get it onto their iPads? What's one way you could do that? What do we use already to move things around? What? Or Dropbox, right? So I put it up there, but what do I have to do? Give me your iPad, go into Dropbox. Okay, let me get yours, go into Dropbox. And do you have time for that? No, the answer is no, we don't have time for that. Dan, come on, we're teachers, we got other things to do. So there are other ways to, let's call it distribute your ebook. So, quick quiz, do you know what this thing is? Luke, use the force. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's a flash drive. Anybody here does not know what this is? You all know a flash. Do you know how to use these? Let me see your licenses. Come on. So you know how to use this. Do you know how to get that EPUB onto this thing? Well, we put it into Dropbox. I could download it onto my computer, right? Now you're going like, oh, I should have had a V8. You're right. Because I shot it from my iPad up to Dropbox, say. Save it, go to Dropbox on my computer and download it, and put it on the flash drive. So once I've copied that ebook on the flash drive, here's a pretty cool little device, and I'll put it under here so you can see it. This is called iUSB port. It does more than meet the eye, but we'll just start with this. This is what it looks, what it looks like. Okay, see, it fits in the palm of my hand. It's like the size of an Altoids box. Okay, what do you think I plug into there? Ooh, hey, look at that. Let's see, do I have it going in the right way? So you plug in a flash drive into there. When you turn it on, so I'm going to turn it on. See, it's starting to start up. It creates its own Wi-Fi network. Not to go to the web, but to connect to it. Okay, so if I put a flash drive in there and I connect to it from pretty much any device, because now that if it creates a Wi-Fi network, what do you think I am going to do on my iPad? Under Settings, I'm going to go to Wi-Fi and wait for my settings to come up. Yeah, wait for this to, and I'm just waiting for this to finish loading. Okay, it's just about there. And when it's queued up, it's going to show up as another network here on my iPad or on my computer too, or on an Android, because it just shows up as another Wi-Fi network. And see, it's probably queuing up. And here it is here, iUSB port. Okay, so I'm going to choose that as my network, okay, because I'm actually connecting to this now. So wait for it to get there. Once it's connected, watch what I do. So now that I've connected with it, imagine this is all of you doing this right now. And I'm just standing here and I turn it on. I say, everybody connect to this. Okay. So now that I've connected to the iUSB port, whoops, let me get back to it again. I'm going to go and, I shouldn't have got out, there we go. Now I'm just going to go to Safari. And you're thinking, wait a minute, you just said you can't go to the internet. No, we're not going to the internet. I am going to, when you get it, it has a URL you put in. So it's, whoops. .0, .1. I'm going to click go. Give it a second to get there. And this is what I see. So this is what I see. What do you think the C drive is? Hint, hint. I'm going to go to C. Where do you think all of these files reside? Hint, hint. Correct answer, flash drive. You got it. So if these are here, and I can see them on here, how do you think I finished downloading them from there to here? What did I do in Dropbox when I saw those files in Dropbox and I wanted a file? What's the first thing I did? Tap it. So I'm going to select it. It queues up here. Oh, look at that. There's that open in button. See, open in. What do you think I'm going to open it in? iBooks, correct answer. Continue to the lightning round. Give it a second. It'll bring it in. There it is, it's called Saturn. Give it a second, it'll actually open it up for me, and there it is. And now it's there permanently. So I've got a couple books for us to read today, guys, because I could be downloading books from Project Gutenberg and all kinds of other places. I put them on my flash drive. I plop it down. I go, OK, guys, got a couple books, new books for you to bring in. Go to the iUSB port and go get them. And if I just, let's say I just put in 4 or 5, that's the only thing on the flash drive, 3 or 4 books on it. OK, go get the files, guys. Open them up. Put them into your iBooks bookshelf. I'll go check the sports and have a cup of coffee. No. But you get the point that right now, how long is it going to take for all my kids to get that book into the iPad versus how long would it take me to go to every individual iPad and say, let me see your iPad for a second and download all this. So would you like to plop down an iUSB port and say, go get it, kids? Or would you like to go to all their iPads and log into your Dropbox account, download the book, and then log out, and then go to the next kid? So all in favor of, OK, it seems to be unanimous. So do you see the point I was just making that, you know, we're looking now of distributing things that I may be doing on a computer, and we thought we'd never touch a computer. Look how much the computer becomes like a hub. So go ahead, what's your question? So, is that what you're going to ask? No, go ahead and ask here. You got the microphone, you ask your question first.
Can you go in reverse and have it send them the iBook back to you that they created?
There are other ways to do that, yes. And if you think about that export function, remember when we were in the book creator for iPad, there were ways to get it out, and we have to look at, and these are the key points you want to look at in any app. I open up an app, the first thing I want to look at is, can I open up and import anything into it, and then can I export whatever I do in there out of it? And if the answer is no to either of those, you know, you've kind of locked yourself into that app. Then if it can export, where can I export to? If all it does is maybe email it to myself, it's like, well, if the app is pretty compelling, I can have everything emailed to me, and then, you know, I can put it somewhere where I can distribute it. I can't right now from my iPad send it right to there. Yesterday, we spent a whole we spent 2 hours looking at how do we get things on and off an iPad, and I'm kind of like cutting to the chase because this makes sense in the context of what we're doing. Put it on a flash drive and distribute. There are a couple other ways you can do it. Let's see what I have here. Well, actually, since I'm talking about hardware, I know it's not the exact same thing, but let me finish up with that. Any questions with the iUSB port first? Yes?
Do you have to have Wi-Fi in the
No. Her question was, do you have to have Wi-Fi in the room? No, see, it creates its own Wi-Fi network. So you're not on theirs or anybody else's. It creates it, and all you do is connect to it, and not to the internet, because it's just connecting to it, and because I plug something in, I get to see what I've plugged into it. So I could plug in an external hard drive into it. It doesn't have to be a flash drive. You know, you've got those external hard drives that you do backups on your computer and stuff. You can plug that in also. Okay. But what if the kids made books and we want to kind of like, oh, everybody wants to, let's read the book. Here's a little toy I picked up going through the airport one day at Brookstone. This is a portable projector. So all you have to do with this, and it runs on batteries or you can plug it in, is I'm going to take and plug in an HDMI cable, and I'm just going to plug in it into an HDMI adapter for my iPad. Okay. And if I had an iPad mini, I've got an adapter for that to plug it into an iPad mini or the new iPad. But now I'm just going to take it and plug this into my iPad. And let me go and pull up a book. Let me go to the library, and then we'll see. Oh, here's a good one. And then I just come. I'll just leave the blank there. That'll be good. Something that I'm going to turn it on. Okay. There's no drivers for it. Just plug it in. Give it a second to queue up. And just give a second, and it'll recognize it, and then it's getting the signal. There we go. And there it is. And oh, of course, let me rotate it this way. I'll get a better screen. Okay, can you see it there? And let me focus it once too, because I can focus it. And there we go. Okay, so it's like, okay, kiddies, gather around, and I just plop it down, and then all I have to do is unplug it from my iPad and plug it into yours. Yeah, I don't have to turn it on and off to do that. I just, okay, who's next? And we can all see the book. You know, we could put it on. I could be broadcasting it onto a whiteboard. We could circle. Let's circle, the nouns that Dan put into his sentences. Let's do this. Look at, erase it. Or on chart paper. Oh, look at, it's the new modern day version of a big book, right? But now it's on technology, and it's like, oh, it's a little busy over here. Let's go over here. Okay, let's get out the beanbags, guys. Okay, And so I'm like, get out the popcorn. Yep. All the kids want to be in my class, right? So this is from Brookstone. It's in your handout, so you don't have to look at what model it is. It's the HDMI projector from Brookstone. It'll plug into an Android. It'll plug into a laptop. It'll plug into a Chromebook. Does a great job on the Chromebook, and I can just plug it in and off we go. All right, how are we doing for time? Oh, good. We still get about 25 minutes left. So we looked at Book Creator for iPad. Did you? How many of you downloaded StoryKit? Were you able to get it? Okay, I'm going to show you StoryKit. It's a lightweight program, but it was free, and we'll take a look at what we can do with it. So if you've got StoryKit, let me grab my iPad here. Come by under here, and you might look at it and go, I kind of like the simpler, cleaner interface, and you start to look at all the ones on my list, why do you use other ebook programs? Well, each one has something different. Sometimes all you can put in is a picture and words. That's it. So the kids aren't getting carried away with all this other stuff. It's just a nice, clean one. Sometimes it's pictures, recording, your voice, and words. That's it. Oh, that's nice, because not too much for them to do and get lost in. So let's go and open up StoryKit. This is one of the first apps I ever downloaded when I bought my first iPad 1. When I started looking for apps, this is one of the first apps I ever downloaded, and I'm still using it. And you'll see why once we get it open. So does everybody have StoryKit open, those of you who have it? Yep. And in the lower right, if it's a small screen like this, you go to the lower right and hit 2x, and it'll bring it up full size. It was meant originally for the iPhone and the iPod. And so I'm going to do a quick demo and then let you go ahead and make something and see what it's like. You notice that, oh, look at that, it creates its own bookshelf, which is nice. Everything's contained here. You make the book here, it's on the bookshelf here. You can edit it if you need to. But to make a book, any idea how we make a book? Oh my God, you guys are fast learners. So we go right into New Book, and then the key is all of our tools down below, and they're there for every page. So obviously, I look at the camera. Oh, look at, I can take a picture. So it's like I could grab you if I wanted to. I'll turn around and grab me, because I know you'll all be ducking. Like, there I am. I'll use that. And there's a picture I just took with the camera. And it's just a pinch, zoom, and resize. Okay? Pretty easy. The kids just drag it around, put it wherever they want. The next button over, and I'll just kind of move along and then give you a second to go, is go to my photo library. It can only work with photos. I can't bring in movies. But that's good for the younger kids when we're just, anything I've taken on the iPad, I can go to my camera roll, go ahead and grab it. Let's use that one. Okay, so that came, first I shot something, then I grabbed something from my photo library. Text, obviously, just go ahead and type, you know. Wowie, Dan. And then this is the key to all of these other add-ons, like when we add text, when we do a recording. After you do it, the edit button in the upper left brings you right back to the page. Whoops. And then you just go ahead and drag it around and pinch and resize the text box. Let me get back. There we go. Pinch, resize, put it where you want it to be. You know, I'm going to pinch and resize this guy, put him over here. There's a record button. And when I hit record, it comes up to the record dialog, and at the bottom you see record. So you tap it, you give it about a half a second to start the cue before you start talking. I know a lot of you have a tendency to do this. Is it going now? I start talking now? Wowie, Dan. Now what do I do? I hit stop. And this is what we get. Is it going now? Okay. I'm just trying to keep you from making the same mistake that others have made. So let me hit stop for a second. And I'm just going to edit and delete it. No, actually, I'm going to drop it in. So if I hit edit, it drops in the sound clip. And I can move it and put it in anywhere I want. Once I end up going to the read option of the book, all the elements are locked on the page. And then there's a draw tool. The only problem with the draw tool is if you want to use draw with your pictures, what happens is this. You don't see your image, so it's best to draw first. You know, it's colors and brushes and, you know, all kinds of other stuff. And then it puts it as a background, kind of like the canvas. And then you put your pictures in next. So if students want to draw, have them do the drawing first if they want to bring in images. And then kind of go and resize and place the images. You know, maybe they drew a forest scene and they get some pictures of animals they want to put on what they drew. And then next page gives me a new page. So next would, and continue on creating. So I'll give you a second. I'll give you 30 seconds or so to drop in a few elements. So you go, okay, see what it does. Yep, can do that, can do that. And then we'll go and take a look at how do we go and run our book after. I take it by the silence and everybody's looking down. You must be doing okay with it. You mean handwrite or? Yeah. If I write something.
And you want to erase it.
And I want to erase it. Let me think for just a second. If I tap on it, and then I'll get the delete button. See what I did? Tap on it, and then delete comes up.
How about in your drawing?
Oh, if I do a drawing, I go back to drawings, and there, I believe there's an eraser. Where's the eraser tool? I'm trying to remember. What's that? Well, actually, I think, yeah, I've got white. I'm just kind of like, see what I'm doing? Yeah, and I can erase it. And I would get a fat brush and use white and erase it really quickly. Remember, this was one of the first apps out there, and they put it out for free, and they haven't done anything to it since. They just put it out there. You look at it, here are the two extremes. You look at this, and this was pretty cool in its day when it first came out. It's like, oh, look what the kids can do. Anyway, I'll stop here and look at what happens once you add more pages. You go back to edit pages. You go back to details. Here I could add a title to it, and I'm not going to add a title. And I go back to bookshelf. And once I do, my book is on the bookshelf. And when a student wants to read it, they select the book, and then they click the read button. And when they touch read, it brings it into a reading environment. See, all the editing tools are gone. So now, here's my sound file. So if I tap it, is it going now? I start talking. Okay. So everything you've recorded, and let me just tap and stop it. So like we did in Book Creator for iPad, maybe I have text there, and I have a sound recording of the same text in English or in another language. And students get used to seeing, tap and hear it. Because once again, maybe I don't like how it sounds on the iPad, and I want to clear my own voice instead. Or maybe the student. If I was a speech and language pathologist, there's a way to get my students to work on fluency, reading, and rehearse it and record it over and over again until they get it nice and clear and get it in there. So this is Book Creator for iPad. This is a free one. Even though it's pretty lightweight, I still show it in all my workshops because you look and go, for some kids that'll be nice and clean, and easy to work with environment without a lot of bells and whistles. So think of a lot of your students that have difficulty with writing. Verbal skills are something for them to compensate with. They can go ahead and put in their pictures and actually just tell a story. And you know what the kids are going to say at the end of the day if they just simply put in pictures and record a story? What are they going to say when they go home? What did they do today? You know what they're going to say? What's that? No, they'll say, I wrote it. Most kids will say, I wrote a book today. What'd you do in class? Oh, I wrote a book. Yeah, you're right. What did you do today? Nothing. Go ahead. Did you have to learn anything? No, I didn't do anything. But they'll have a tendency to say, well, we wrote a book today. And yet the irony is, did they actually write it? And so when you have a teacher say, well, that's not writing. Well, what is storytelling? It's really communication in different formats. Because I'll use the example. Ever gone to the store and got a Stephen King book? Yeah. How do you know he wrote it? What do you mean, how do you know he wrote it? How do you know he didn't use a microcassette recorder and it was a dark and stormy night? There you go. Can you type that up for me? And then, geez. Is he a good writer because he didn't write it? Or is he a good writer because he... So, let's take a look up here. Do any of you have Macs in your school system? Raise your hand if you do. And I'll bet you guys are all going to iPads too, right? Because you're in Mac world. Well, I know a lot of school systems, they have PCs for computers, and they've got iPads. And I'll say to them, you need to get one Mac, and here's why, with iBook Author. This is kind of like the high-end ebook creating program. All the ones that I gave you earlier, like if you go in later to 30 Hands, for example, that's one of the examples I gave you. That's like the PowerPoint example. You bring in the picture, you do the recording, you go to the next page, put in a picture, do the recording, and then it puts the whole thing together for you as like a movie. And so it's really easy for the kids to do. Plop, talk, next, it puts the whole thing together. Nice little video. This is iBook Author. With iBook Author on a Mac, and iBook Author is free, so when we start to look at this, it's like, ooh, this is free. It's kind of like starting off with PowerPoint. You start off with a template. Just like in PowerPoint, you might choose the layout and the templates, things like that. So I come and I'm going to choose this as a layout. Okay. And now it's templated out for you. So here's chapter 1. I click in Untitled, and I delete it, and I put in chapter 1, all about Dan. So we know where this story is going. And then we come down here, and everything is placeholders. So I come here, I can paste text in, or I can type. This is a story about, I could go on and on. I'll run it through spell check later. And when I click, it'll center it, and I can tell it to center and things like that. Click here, placeholder for an image. Scroll across, oops, sorry. Put in the image. When I go to the sections, see section, what do I want to call section 1? Here's a template for me to use. I just start putting in, replacing this with my text. Here's a column over the right-hand side. If I need to add more pages in section 1, here's another page, I come up here and add more pages. What do you want to add? Another chapter, another section, more pages, column, blank. I'll put my own stuff in. What you can do with the program, though, is kind of like what we did with Book Creator for iPad on steroids. Because when I start to add all the elements in it, I come to here, and I can have what's called a gallery. And all I have to do is click, it drops it in. And with something like this, I can move the screen over, and I can have a folder of like 10 images, drag and drop all 10 images in here, and it becomes a scrolling window instead of having to put 10 pages on the screen. And I have an iBook all done that we're going to take a look at, see what it looks like. But I drag them in here, and then as I scroll through the image, they can each have their own captions, which will change as we go. Okay. You can have quizzes built into it. You can have interactive galleries, see all the centering. I can import charts, tables, shapes in here. I can import video. I can create quizzes. I can add interactive images. I can have a scrolling sidebar. Maybe add an image over here, and I just don't have enough space on the screen to type everything I want to go with that image. I can have something like this where they get a little text box here, and you just keep on scrolling down in that text box, reading more and more and more. Pop over, you move your cursor over something, and then you got a pop-up of information. You can import media, sounds, record voice. You look at all the things I can do with iBook Author. This is really taking our curriculum and dumping it in here, and then shooting it out to all the iBooks, all the iPads rather. And now I've got my curriculum as a book on the iPad. So create some pretty wild stuff with this, because look at all the different features that I have with it. And to bring all these elements in, all it is a click. Yeah, I want to put one of these things in. So it brings it in here. And all you end up doing is now bring in your image into here, and then it'll put all these points that you move. And you can set zoom. Like if I click on there, it'll zoom into the image, and I'll demonstrate in a minute. And then if I click here, it zooms out of the image. So when I'm done, I go to the share button, and I just export it as an iBook. And I can connect my iPad to the computer, and I can shoot it right to iBooks by connecting it in here. Or I can export as an iBook, save it on my desktop. So if I went to export, oh, look at that. I can save it as a PDF. I can save it as text. I can save it as an iBook. iBook to go onto my iBook bookshelf. So I'm going to click cancel for a moment. And I'm going to go back, and let's take a look at what something looks like if I put it into iBooks. So let me go back to my PC, take a look at the projector. And I'm going to pull up a book in iBooks that I created with iBook Author, so we can see what the outcome is. So I'm going into my eBook reader, and let me see if this is the one I need. Here we go. Oh, actually, let me go back one. Since I'm here, just to give me an example of some of the things, which picture has pretty leaves? Okay, ooh, check answer. Correct. Okay, where does the trail begin? A, at the lodge, B, at the lake. I think it begins at the lake. Oh, incorrect. So these are different kinds of quizzes you can put in. And you see in this particular window here, it could have 6 or 8 or 10 questions in this scrolling window. So I'm not going page to page. Where's Closing the Gap? It's in Minnesota. Correctamundo. So different kinds of quizzes that I can build in it. And it tells me how I did. Okay. So let me go back and actually show you a book that has been done with it. Let's see. I'm looking to see if, here we go. Travels with Dan. You guys recognize who that was, right? Let me go to, I'm sorry. Let me click back. I wanted to get to my table of contents. I've already gone through the cover. So let me go here. In iBooks, here's chapter 1. I could tap to get table of contents, and I can jump through the pages if I need to. You can see the different layouts that I had here, different fonts. These are digital pictures I brought in. So these are pictures I took, and these are, I just brought them right into the program. Okay, more pictures just to show you different things you can do with it, different layouts. Okay, there's a video. What do I have this guy doing? Oh, hokey smokes, he's signing the text. Oh, I've got a little signing avatar there. So I just made that video, and I could go full screen if I want to. So I could have videos in doing all kinds of things. Here's one of those scrolling windows. See as I scroll through, see the caption change with it? So next, next. Instead of having like 10 or 12 pictures on a page, this is that gallery. See, and I can have a lot of pictures in the gallery. Could be sequences of something, steps that they had to do. Okay, I can go full screen with any of the images. Go to the next page. There's a quiz. We saw what some of the quizzes were like. Here's a movie. I was on a train. I used one of the flip cameras. You know those flip cameras? Get in the train. Okay. No. That's all I'm doing. Just that. And this is what, from a flip camera, I brought it in. Here's an audio file. You know, I'm not going to put the microphone in there. Just to show you that I used Audacity and just simply recorded a sound file and imported it into iBooks when I was creating it. Another one of the scrolling screens. Okay. So it could be, and I tried to give you a lot of examples in here, and here's one with a lot of stuff in it, just to show you where you could go with it. Okay. Scrolling windows, you know. Oh, this one was a really short one. Oh, actually, I hadn't started at the beginning. Let me go. It's got movies in it. I'll stop that. Okay. Sections, see I've got pictures full size. These are just all examples. Look at all the different layouts I have, the templates that I was using. You know, interactive map. I can pinch and zoom. I've added some labeling in here. I can jump back and forth by, if I tap, see there's a sound icon I put in. I can go to my table of contents and I can swipe through where do I want to go. So it allows for quick maneuvering. And I'm going to tap and get my menu back up. And then I can go to the notes page. And if the student has it, they can actually go and add notes. And they can copy. If this were a textbook, I could kind of like take what we used to do in college with the highlighters, you know, studying for the test. Kids can go through and highlight in the book, and then they can extract the highlights out to a little study section. And it'll tell you where did you grab your highlights from. So I've got the ability for notes, and then I can extract things. So this is working with iBooks Author and the things I can do with that, and back onto the bookshelf. So once again, a lot of different ways to distribute. Up to Dropbox, kind of have it come down, put it on a USB port, connect it to the iPad, and just kind of bring it in. Okay. So just to sum up, just to point out on a few websites that I've got queued up here, there are places like ck12.org where you can go and simply download curriculum books here. These are all, they're working on, these are all from Grant. Their goal is to have K-12, all subjects, real curriculum books, okay? High school science book, 6th grade history book, you name it here, ck12.org. And when you come here, you can download any of the books, you can go searching, you can download and edit the books and pull them apart if you only want to use sections of it. They give you the right to do anything they want to them, and they'll tell you right there on the website, kind of like copyright-free, royalty-free. You can do anything you want. So we looked at this, and then in your handouts, I also have a couple online, Cast Book Builder, UDL Studio, My eBook Maker. These are online ebook creating programs where you can go and have an account online. So all you do is on the computer, you come anywhere from any computer, log into your account. So the kids could be down in the computer lab, log in, start to create the ebook, go home, continue to make more, add more to it, come to the classroom. And then when you're done, depending on which site you're at, they're all slightly different. For example, this one, I can export it, and then it'll run in my web browsers, including recorded sound and everything. So I can distribute it to anybody, and it'll just run in your web browser because it's HTML-based. Okay, add pictures, record sound, and then I can print it and download it. Okay. So on computer, on iPad, on web, different ways to move things around. I'm going to stop here because it's 3 o'clock, believe it or not. It's like, whoo. So are your heads full? Download the handout. The handout's, it's like a 10-page handout for you with all the different apps that I've given you, all these other little toys that I had, like the iUSB port and things like that, as well as switch access to ebooks and things like that. So I want to thank you for your time, and go out there and make a difference. Okay, thanks.